Hey, Changemaker! Welcome to Learning for Good, the only podcast that teaches nonprofit leaders how to leverage training to drive performance, improve capacity, and fuel their mission impact. Do you ever feel like your nonprofit is growing, but your people just aren't keeping up? Or like you're fixing the same problems over and over? Do you wonder how to build confident, capable staff who know how to lead, not just execute? If we haven't met yet, I'm Heather, and I know how hard it can feel to get people to do what's expected of them. Trust me, I have 3 kids. I've tried telling people what to do and how. I've tried the traditional training approaches, and I realized that just doesn't work. And that's when I started researching what does work. Now, I help mission-driven leaders use learning to drive performance, build capacity, and make change that lasts. And I'm sharing it all on this podcast. So block your calendar, turn off your Teams or Slack chat, and let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. I'm going to be honest with you. I have a terrible memory. If I leave a conversation without documenting it, I won't remember it. And over the years, I've found ways to overcome this. I write everything down. I take notes in meetings, even if I have an AI note taker. I move everything that I have to do, every task that results from that meeting, into a separate task in a project management system so I can see it. I give myself a deadline, even if there isn't one. And I transfer everything to my calendar so I know when I'm working on what task. I set alarms on my phone if I need extra reminders, right? I've created a system that works for me. But without the system, my memory breaks down. I don't know if you have similar challenges with your memory, but this is how I have overcome this particular challenge that I face. So the people that you are developing, staff, volunteers, your audience, right, your learners, they need a system too. So if they just attend a training or a workshop and then they return to their work environment, it will break down, right? Similar to me relying on my memory, that's going to break down. If your learners, your audience, attend a training or a workshop, go back to their work environment and nothing changes, that's going to break down too. They're going to fall back on old habits. They're going to do what feels comfortable or familiar, what they know, right? And this is normal, but it doesn't have to be this way. And so today, I want us to walk through 5 practical post-training strategies that you can use to make learning stick. We want to set up those systems and watch behavior change. Let's dive in. It's Learning for Good. I've been in L&D for about 20 years and in nonprofit for probably about the last 14 or so. And I've seen and tried a lot of different strategies for creating behavior change. I also spend a lot of time in conversations with nonprofit learning and development professionals about what's working for them. And I do my own research, my own learning on learning science, behavior change principles, and things like that to keep my skills fresh. Here's what I know. Training alone rarely works. I often say it is not the solution, but part of a set of solutions. So if we combine training and we make it part of a larger system, a larger set of solutions, we can create change. So I want us to think about this. I want you to imagine your target audience. Now, I know many of you train different audiences, staff, volunteers, customers in some cases. But for today, let's just picture a staff person, okay? Picture your staff person. Your staff person attends a training. And he's open to learning, but probably not super hopeful that he'll walk away with anything new, right? He's been to many other trainings in the past, and they haven't always produced anything for him. And so feeling kind of neutral about the experience. But during the training that you designed, he not only learns new things, he can see how those things will benefit him on the job, and let's say it's a communication training. So he's getting excited about how these skills are going to help him communicate clearly and lead project teams more seamlessly. So he's already thinking about how he's going to use these skills on the job. And so now his little neutral face becomes a happy face, right? He's thinking, this is great. He's excited. But what happens when the training ends? So the training has ended, right? He goes back to his day-to-day work, his office or whatever his work environment is. And here he is with the desk. And he's excited. Again, he left her training. He learned a lot. You can see how he's going to use it on the job. He's excited about what that's going to do for him. And he's ready to implement. But when he gets back to his job, he gets email after email with urgent requests. He gets pulled into meetings. His boss changes his priorities on him. His partner called from home and her basement is flooding. The dog walker is texting because they're locked out of his apartment, right? He's starting to feel a little less motivated. Do you think he's still thinking about what he learned in that training? No, obviously not. And you wouldn't be either. And you created it. So how can we change that? We can't control the number of emails that he gets. We can't control whether his priorities get shifted. We can't control his meeting schedule. And we can't control those emergencies, the personal emergencies that he's facing. So what can we do to support turning his learning into action? What would you do? Take a moment and think about it. I really want you to think about this. Pause the episode if you have to. Think about what you would do. Today, I want to share 5 strategies that you can implement to support turning learning into action. But I also want to invite you to join me and your nonprofit HR, learning and development, and talent development colleagues for our upcoming virtual conference, Leading Learning That Sticks. Leading Learning That Sticks is a week-long virtual experience for nonprofit and association training professionals who are ready to move beyond reactive training delivery and step into strategic learning leadership. With sessions across 5 days, you'll explore mindset shifts, decision frameworks, execution systems that separate busy training teams from trusted learning leaders. From tech decisions to measurement, from strategy to sustainable execution, this event will help you think more clearly, act more intentionally, and lead learning that actually drives change. So if you're tired of being pulled into this kind of intake chaos, training intake chaos, pressure to just train, just create it, or asked to prove impact without clarity, this week will give you the tools and perspective to respond differently. And I'll share the link to register in the show notes. I can't wait to see you there. Until then, I want us to talk this through. These 5 practical post-training strategies that you can implement now. So our learner, let's call him Rick, right? He has returned to the job, fires everywhere. How do we help him? What are the 5 things we can do? And hopefully you've already thought of a few as well. And I'm really curious to hear if you are coming up with the same ones. So the first tool, the first strategy that I would recommend is to create tools and resources based on what Rick learned in the training, right? They go through training, your learners go through training, they learn something, they're motivated, they're excited, they get back on the job, even if they don't have quite as many emergencies and priority changes and things happening as Rick, things are still going to happen. They're still going to go back into their day-to-day experience, and their manager might have a different expectation of them. They might not remember everything they learned in training. When they actually go to implement on the job, there might be different variables than what they were expecting. And so tools and resources are a great way to help them reflect back on what they learned, have that reminder, that refresher just in time, but also give them some practical tips, guidelines, checklists to help them implement, right? So tools and resources take what they learned in training and help create that through line so that they can implement on the job. So tools and resources are the first practical post-training strategy that you can use. The second is follow-up emails or other reminders. So oftentimes we get people to come to our training, they leave the training and we never talk to them again. And so follow-up emails or other reminders are things that you can tap into the facilitator for, or you can program to be automated, right? But some sort of follow-up email series that reminds them what they learned, why it was important, and gives them tips for how to implement. Those are just-in-time resources that they're going to get delivered to a place that they're already spending a lot of time in most cases. And so it's a great reminder and a great way to, again, create that through line from what they learned in the training to how it will be implemented on the job. Now, the third practical post-training strategy that you can use is manager prep. So a lot of times, Rick, our learner, comes back to the job and his manager has no different expectations of him than before he went to the training. And so sometimes that's a barrier for Rick to actually implement what he learned in the training, because the manager still has the same environment, the same expectations, the same processes, right? And Rick is expected to pick up where he left off. And so if we can prepare the manager to better understand what his staff or staff are learning and how that can be applied on the job, what it looks like when done well, that manager can better support that employee as they start to implement. They know what to expect. They know what it looks like to be successful with it. They know what it looks like to not be successful with it, and they can help encourage and provide opportunities for your learner to implement. So manager prep is huge. Now, the fourth option here is coaching. Coaching can be done in several different ways. Again, this could be part of manager prep where you're providing them information about what the person has learned and what that's going to look like on the job. You can also provide them with coaching questions that they can use maybe in their one-on-one check-ins or in some other way. And so then you're leaning into that manager as coach. Sometimes the facilitator can continue on as a coach and play a coaching role for a small cohort of people. That's potentially an option. You can also hire outside coaches to support people depending on what the role of this person is. That might be a viable option to provide a coach to them. And then there are also AI coaches available now, right? You could train an AI agent or find an AI coach that would make sense in this case. So lots of options here with coaching, but coaching will help your learner think through what's actually working and what's not working, what opportunities they have to implement that maybe they're not thinking of. And so having that coaching conversation can help them really think about, what are my blind spots? How is it going? What do I need to change or adapt as I move forward? And it helps them implement the skill and learn as they're implementing. So coaching is a great option here. Now, the fifth practical post-training strategy that you could potentially use is refresher training. Sometimes, a lot of times, training is not a one and done. They don't go to a training and then go back to their job and everything changes and is perfect. And there are times when a skill is more complex. Maybe it just needs a little bit of extra time, extra practice. And so a refresher training is a great way to bring people back, give them some updates on the skills, allow them some more time to practice. And hopefully over the course of that time, you're going to see them implement, you're going to see them adapt, you're going to see them actually use what they've learned. And so that learning is going to stick. And now when we've done this, right now, our guy Rick over here, our learner, is happy. He's working toward a goal. He's building his communication skills. He's getting his reps in. And you're much more likely to see him implement and stick to the skill, which means not only have you made a better impact, you'll also have the data to prove the value that you bring to your organization. And that's what you really want, right? I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.
Hey friend, was this episode helpful for you? Did you like what you heard? Do you want more content like this? Here are 3 things you can do. Hit subscribe. Leave a review on Apple Podcasts for your podcast app of choice. Share this episode with a colleague. This means so much to me personally. I read every review, but it also helps me learn what content you like most so I can create more of what you want. All right, turn that Teams or Slack chat back on when you're ready, and I'll see you next time on Learning for Good.